Alt Rock Radio Now is recorded and produced at Music City Studio in Kelowna, BC. Music City Studio is a recording studio and rehearsal space that also hosts jam nights and runs workshops and courses. Visit musiccitystudio.ca for more details. Touring musicians welcome. Hello and thanks for tuning in for episode 11 of Alt Rock Radio Now. My name is Vincent Jones and I'm your host. I'm joined here in the studio, as always, by Mike Pedersen and Valaura Vedan. We've got another great show coming your way this week. We've got lots of music for you, some crazy chat about silly things, as per usual. But first and foremost, the music, and I think that's what we'll dive into right away here. Our first song this week comes from Emma Shepard, and Emma is a super talented indie rock singer-songwriter from Kent, Ohio. Her debut record, Public Displays of Affection, which came out in the fall, is a real gem, and the song we're going to listen to today is from that very release. It's called Guilty. Here it is.
So sick, doesn't matter what the doctors say. Don't apologize, just get the things and live with that. I'm not sorry if you're not sorry. No, you're not sorry, so I'm not sorry. Oh, you're so guilty, doesn't matter what your lawyer said. The way things are going, I'll be fighting you till death. I'm not bruising though, I'm not bleeding no. You're in for, you're dead to me. Cigarettes and cherry trees, picnic blankets, wine and moonlit scenes. I left you in a distant memory. Now go to bed and don't remind me. Table talks and drunk calls late at night, where you tell me everything on your sober mind. Just black out and start forgetting. You've got something that I'm missing. So sick, doesn't matter what your doctors say. Don't apologize, just get your things and live with that. I'm not sorry if you're not sorry, no, you're not sorry, so I'm not sorry, no, I'm not sorry if you're not sorry, no, you're not sorry, so I'm not sorry. Sneak around apartment complexes where I scrape my knees on gravel driveways. Go to bed and start forgetting. You've got something that I'm missing. No, don't make promises that you cannot keep, but swear at least you'll try to remember me. Never ever start forgetting. You're in for, you're dead to me. Doesn't matter what the doctor, oh you're so sick, doesn't matter what the doctor said. I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry.
So once again, that was Emma Shepard with Guilty. Such a great song, she's got a great voice.
Yeah.
I was checking her out online, and I was on her Facebook page, and I was listening to her as I was doing this, and I was thinking to myself how much she sounds like Regina Spektor. Mm-hmm. And then I looked, and lo and behold, the first person listed in her influences was Regina, and she sounds so much like her in a great way.
Yeah, she sounds a lot like Regina Spektor, and not just like in her voice, but in her phrasing and everything. It's incredible.
So awesome.
In a good way, though.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. Obviously, the Super Bowl was this past weekend. And one of the big things whenever the Super Bowl happens is... I changed subject there, by the way, obviously. Quite dramatically.
Thanks for letting me know.
Got your attention, though, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, is the halftime show, right? And all that jazz. And I know a lot of the chat was about Bruno Mars and how awesome his performance was at halftime. But then I also know the Chili Peppers played as well, and I was kind of thinking, I wonder if Mike watched the halftime show there and what he thought of it.
Of course, yeah. Bruno Mars, I thought he was unreal. Like, I didn't see that coming. I thought it would be good, but yeah, his singing, his playing, his dancing, and to start it off on the drum kit like that, I was just thinking, man, like the feeling of rolling out there and just ripping a drum solo by yourself and being surrounded by how many people there? Like over 80,000 or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just unreal. And Chili Peppers, I'm a huge fan. There were people talking about maybe them not being plugged in or whatever. I don't know if you guys saw that, Flea's bass being unplugged or something like that.
I didn't know that.
No,
I don't know.
I didn't hear
Either
that.
way, they were just giving her, and I thought it was awesome, the whole thing.
Cool. But yeah, I know you liked Bruno Mars's performance too.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think that level of showmanship, and what I really appreciated about it is that it was really about his performance. You know, it wasn't about fireworks or strutting around with cleavage hanging out. It was about him and the music and the performance. And I think that with how manufactured things seem to be getting, I mean, things have always been kind of manufactured, but even with the digital age, I feel like there's kind of this pushback from society now, and people are kind of wanting to go back to that old school way of doing things and making it more about the music and about the performance again.
Cool, for sure. Our next song this week comes from a band called Numans, and they're a power pop band out of North Carolina, and they formed just in May 2013, so they're pretty new, pretty fresh. They put out a 4-track EP back in December, and this song is called Seattle.
White walls and empty picture frames, just packing up as he's in Spain. As he packs up, she boards a plane alone. Oh, clocks and broken telephones. No welcome at nobody's home. No welcome back because she's gone. This story's not meant to make you promise that you love me, 'cause I know that you don't love me anymore. This story's not meant to make you notice that you need me, 'cause I know that you don't need me anymore. The keys have all been given back. There is no way to get inside. Inside there is no life to find anymore. He's packing up a silver ring. It'll never make it home. Her heart's alive and now she's gone forever. This story's not meant to make you promise that you love me, 'cause I know that you don't love me anymore. This story's not meant to make you notice that you need me, 'cause I know that you don't need me anymore. Climbing to Seattle, I can make the train. I still have our picture in your empty frame. Climbing to Seattle, I can make the train. I still have our picture in your empty frame. This story's not meant to make you promise that you love me, 'cause I know that you don't love me anymore. This story's not meant to make you notice that you need me, 'cause I know that you don't need me anymore. This story's not meant to make you promise that you love me, 'cause I know that you don't love me anymore. This story's not meant to make you notice that you need me, 'cause I know that you don't need me anymore.
So once again, that was Numans with their song Seattle. So don't know if you see what I did there. We were talking about the Super Bowl, obviously the Seahawks, and then we go into a song called Seattle. So
Very clever.
You know, it's just these little things, tricks and techniques just make it all worth listening to, right?
Consummate professional.
I know, right? Just full-on professional. One thing I thought we could talk about this week is it's something I've wanted to do from the beginning of the show, actually, but we haven't really got around to it yet, is epic story time. That's how I'm pitching it. And I'm thinking, my idea with it is, and I'm hoping eventually we can get people to send us in submissions with epic stories they've got. It's a music-related thing, so maybe it's a concert you went to, maybe it's something that happened at your first band practice, maybe it's, you know, something as innocuous as meeting some famous musician and the story that comes from that. But any kind of epic music-related story that you have that you'd like to share, I think it would be cool to spin them out there. So I was thinking, might pitch it to you guys this week. We'll sort of do like one a week.
Okay.
What was you gonna say, V?
Nothing. I was raising my hand so you know that I have one.
Okay. Well, you can go first if you want, because I think what we'll do is one of us will go this week, one of us will go next week, and I'll go the week after or whatever. Or maybe we'll space it out even further, but we'll all go eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just do one of us this time out. So, do you want to go first then?
Yeah. So my epic story actually comes from my first concert that I ever went to. At that point, I think, as you all know, I was listening to country music. I didn't really even know that any other kind of music existed. And my mom's good friend won tickets to go and see Sawyer Brown. She won them on the radio. And I was like madly in love with Mark Miller, who's the lead singer of Sawyer Brown. At like 3 or 4, whatever, I was ahead of my time. And so she took me to the concert, and I asked my mom if we could get flowers because I wanted to give Mark Miller flowers. So she said, okay. So we were at the concert, and I remember being so anxious, and the flowers were like underneath my chair, and we had like floor seats, and I was freaking out, and I was so excited. And my mom's friend had to keep telling me to like sit down and that it wasn't time yet. I didn't sit down. I danced in the aisles. I still do that to this day. I'm like, whatever, we're listening to a concert. I don't care. I'm dancing now. Anyway, I ended up taking the flowers up to him during some sappy romantic song. And the security guy picked me up, and he like lifted me up so I could like set them on the stage and like pass them off. And then he sent me back over the gate, and I went back and sat down on my chair, and I was really, really pleased with myself. Anyway, when he gets done the song, he says, can the little girl who just brought the flowers up please come back up here? So I went up, and they pulled me up on stage, and he sang a song to me, and he asked me if I would marry him, to which I responded with, thank you, sir, but you're too old for me. Right?
Very true.
And that's essentially that was the first concert that I ever went to. And then the next day, the radio station that we won the tickets through had me in, and I went and talked on the radio about meeting Mark Miller.
Nice.
That's cool.
It's my epic story, the beginning of my epic journey into rock music.
Good story. And that's exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about. So if anybody out there has a similar story that they'd like to share, feel free to get in touch with us on social media or all that jazz. I was saying that we'd do, one kind of epic story, but I guess we could have like 4 or 5 different ones as time goes on. I mean, obviously we'll share them spread out, but I guess we don't have to do just one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's one of our new features, Epic Story Time.
Nice.
So
we'll need a jingle for it. So
I do think we'll need a jingle.
Any talented artists out there want to send in a jingle for us to use, go for it.
That could be fun, actually.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should get into our third song. Our third one this week comes from a band called The Great Wilderness, a dream rock act out of Costa Rica. They have to be the first Costa Rican act we've ever had on the show, which is pretty cool.
I think so. Yeah, that's
pretty cool. But they're not here out of novelty, out of the fact that they're from somewhere exotic and different. They're here because they're awesome. They're influenced by British alternative rock, and they've got a real neat sound. Their debut LP came out in 2013. It's called In the Hour of the Wolf, and this is the title track.
Into
So once again, that was The Great Wilderness with their song In the Hour of the Wolf. If you're wondering where you can find the bands that we feature on the show, links to the music and stuff like that, what we do every time an episode comes out is we tag the bands on our social media, on our Facebook. So go over to our Facebook page, like us, look there, and you'll see our episodes listed. And we always tag the bands. You just click on that, it'll go to their page. And from there, you can find their website, all that usual stuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. Speaking of our social media, I'd like to welcome Mike Simpson, who's one of our new listeners. Mike found me through my CBC Radio West music column, and we sort of got chatting online on Twitter and all that jazz, and he pitched a question to me. So I decided to answer it on the show, which means he has to come back and listen again.
Nicely done.
Nice sales technique.
Yeah.
Plus, getting it into 140 characters, because he asked me like a question that I need more than 140 characters to answer. So, it's a double-edged sword.
Nice.
There's two reasons for me doing it. But, what Mike asked me, let me just get the question he asked me here. He asked me for some of my favourite bands from the UK. So, like I say, I told him I'd answer on the show. So, it's pretty difficult, which is one of the reasons I didn't do it on Twitter, because there's so many great acts. As you might imagine, though, the Smiths have to be at the top for me. There's no question of a doubt about that. Then you've got bands like the Beatles, Queen, The Who, Oasis, Joy Division, the Sex Pistols, the Libertines. I could go on and on, right?
Yeah.
You know this. If we're talking more modern acts, which I guess you could class the Libertines as an Oasis, but I'm talking like real recent. You've got bands like Alt J, Mumford & Sons, London Grammar, the 1975. Again, there are probably 8 million different bands, and even ones I'm not even thinking of that I like. But those are some of my favourite bands from the UK.
So many.
Yeah, which is what Mike asked me. So there's my answer to Mike's question. So I hope it was worth it, Mike.
Can I just say, I am pretty certain that officially makes it like still every single episode that you've managed to get at least one reference to the Smiths and or Morrissey. And
true.
Hey, stop
I'm
me.
sure that it's been like every single one.
Stop me if you've heard this one before.
Oh, God.
Smith's reference. But thanks seriously, Mike, for asking that question. Do appreciate it. And anybody else out there who's got questions, feel free to throw them out there on social media. We will answer them on the show. You don't have to ask them to me if you're sick of hearing me talk. You can ask them to V or Mike, anyone, or all of us even, and we'll be happy to answer them. So just keep it clean, Mike's a sweetheart. So.
It's a delicate flower.
Yeah, he is. In my notes here, actually, in my notes, I had to go to. I had a note here to go to Mike's song, but I know he doesn't have one this week.
Oh, put me on the spot, make me feel
he hasn't
bad.
done his homework, so I think we'll just skip right along. One thing I was going to ask you guys, and actually I'll pitch this to you, Mike, because this works out nicely. I don't know if you saw that video recently. It was the shred video of One Direction. What they might sound like without auto-tune.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that on Facebook and
briefly,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, it was like going viral and everyone was talking about it. Now, I should add, it's not how they actually sound without auto-tune. It's sort of like, how they might sound. And that sort of makes you think about auto-tune and all those things. And I'm asking from a producer's perspective, what do you think of auto-tune? Do you think it's something that harms the industry, or...
It's a tricky one. It depends how you use it. I don't like it when people rely on autotune to just fix their poor vocal performance. I think if you want to be a singer, that's your goal in life, then you need to hone your craft. You need to get lessons. You need to be surrounded by people who are going to help you become the best singer you possibly can be, right? Mm-hmm. And I think if there's any flaws in your vocal, I think you should just embrace it rather than try and hide it with digital plugins and stuff like that. I think you should just own it and just keep it in mind that this is a moment in time that you're capturing, and that's just who you are at that moment in time. And it's good to listen back to yourself and say, okay, I sounded good, but I can do better than this. And you know that, rather than just going in and say, I'm not really prepared, my voice isn't that good, but the producer will fix it with auto-tune. So that part, I don't like that. And if somebody, I don't really do that. If somebody can't sing, then they need to go and spend the time to learn how to sing before they come in. And then I will use auto-tune for things like backing vocals if I want a certain sound for, just like a nice filling pad sound for a vocal, then I'll use a bit of auto-tune just to kind of smooth it out and have it in the background. It's not something you really notice. But I think, again, if people want to use auto-tune as an effect, then it's cool. And it's very obvious that that's what you're doing. You're not trying to hide with it. You're just trying to make use of, digital plugin that can do cool things with your voice, right? But it's kind of a complicated thing. It just depends how you use it.
Yeah, there's lots of debate about it on the internet, of course. And,
yeah.
People on one side and people on another side and people who are in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think I tend to agree with you. I think if you're using it as an effect, or you're using it, to do something that you can naturally do anyway, just to correct something that maybe in a recording you didn't quite get right, but you can get it right, that's not so bad. But if you're doing it to artificially enhance your voice, it's sort of like photoshopping your photographs, right? Like, what's the point? You don't really look like that. You don't really sound like that. So
it can also be a very useful tool. Like I can show the vocalist their performance on a scale, and I can show them, okay, this is where you're going flat, this is where you're going sharp. So then they can actually have a visual thing that shows them how they can improve their vocal. So again, it has its pros and cons, but it's kind of a cool way just to see where you're actually, going flat or sharp, and being able to kind of know that in your head and go back and work on it and fix it and make sure you get it right. So
cool.
Do you have anything you want to say, V? I thought maybe you did.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that it's not quite in regards to the auto-tune, but I think it's somewhere along the same lines, in the same vein, is obviously doing this show, we listen to a lot of bands, and I'm going to be a little bit bold in saying this, and maybe I'll get some hate mail for it, but that's fine. If you're in a band and your lead singer is not a singer and is not very good, somebody needs to sit down with them and have that chat. Because there are a lot of bands that I've heard, and maybe their lyrics are great, and that's great that your singer is an amazing writer, but that doesn't mean that they're a good singer. And your band could be being held back by somebody who can't sing. And that's all I'm going to say on it. There's just so many bands out there who are so close to being good, or who, like, I can hear them on the radio with a different singer. Like their singer can't do it. And then going into a studio and having the producer auto-tune it or correct it, so that's deceptive to the fans when they go and see you live. It's not a good experience for anybody.
No, and it's an interesting point. I mean, for me, and I think it's probably the same for many people, the vocals are such an important part of any song. Like, they're not everything, but they're one of the first things you hear, and you have to like them to like the song, really, for the most part. And it's a good point you make. Like, if the vocals aren't there, there's something lacking. And if you're using auto-tune to bring you up to a level that you just don't have to make a record, well, it's a bit deceptive.
Yeah, and there's a lot of old records where there's, I don't know, maybe like Bob Dylan or Neil Young. They're not the best singers, but they didn't have anything back then to kind of make up for that, right? And I think that's what makes those records great. And it's not only the singing, it's everything. You can hear flaws in all the playing. It's not perfect. It's just a human performance, and I think that's what makes it awesome. So it's better just to own it. And
exactly. I think that makes it more beautiful with the flaws in it. It's
totally
got the character and it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I have to say, I'll go on record with this, I'm not a fan of auto-tune. Aside from the times where you've mentioned it there, Mike, as a feature, where it's been deliberately used for X effect, or where it's been done to, make someone sound the way they naturally sound. I can live with that. That's totally cool. It's just using the technology. But when it's a case of, making someone appear way better than they are, go away, put the time in. If you can't sing like that, leave it to someone who can, I just, because otherwise we can all sound, auto-tuned, and I just think it takes some of the real musical integrity away from me.
Well, and I think the thing is to know your limits. I mean, you don't have to be the best singer in the world, but don't try to sing heartfelt piano ballads if you've got a super gravelly voice and you can't hit a high note to save your life. Like, own what you have and stick within those parameters. Johnny Cash sings 3 notes ever. He has no vocal range, but it's still good because he accepted what his boundaries were, what his limitations were, and it's good.
Johnny's awesome. I can do a mean Folsom Prison Blues at karaoke. All hail the king. V, I believe you've got a song for us.
Yeah, I do. The song I'm going to play for you guys this week comes from a band out of Halifax called Quiet Parade, and the song is called Ghosts.
Static city, the only things that ever change are the ghosts that haunt these streets. They scare me half to death, 'cause they've all got faces, they've all got names, they've all got crippling memories beneath their brains. They wait with bated breath to tell me everything I've done wrong, to tell me everything I've done wrong, oh, and I've done wrong. On the coldest days of the coldest years, I hear every word you say burning in my ears. They linger like they should, and I would take it back if I had that chance. I would learn to be a much better man for you. Baby, I'm no good. Your love is lost on me. Love is lost on me. I got ghosts at home my life, and I swore I would never be like them. I got ghosts at home my life, and I swore I would never be like them. Oh, but I'm like them. Oh, I'm like them. Oh, I'm like them.
Once again, that was Quiet Parade with Ghosts.
Awesome. So for all you folks out there listening, I'm not sure whether you listen to us on iTunes or YouTube. Those are the two main places to listen to us as of right now. Wherever you're listening, please feel free to subscribe to us. You can do it on either iTunes or YouTube. And also please share. We're a pretty new show. This is only episode 11, and we all put our own time into this, and we love doing it. We're not complaining or anything like that. But it's really nice when we get, little tweets saying, hey, found this band, or, people sharing it, or whatever it is. Even last night we had someone message us on Facebook. Actually, they posted on our timeline just asking if we take submissions. Even something as little as that just gives you that little pep up, and you're like, cool.
Someone's listening.
Someone's listening. We're not just kind of talking to ourselves in a room with four walls and not wasting our time because we're helping to promote the bands. But, we're actually promoting the bands because people are listening. So we're not just wasting our time and playing to nobody. People are actually hearing it and enjoying it, and hopefully, hearing a band and going away and buying some music, or at the very least, enjoying listening to them. So please share, help spread the word. We'd really appreciate that. And once again, don't forget you can connect to us on Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. Just search Alt Rock Radio Now. That's how you find us. That's how Mike, my fellow Brit, who I mentioned earlier, not Mike Pedersen here, Mike who asked me the question about the UK bands, that's how he found me. And you can find us the same way, so keep that in mind. I think we'll get into our 6th song of this week's show. It's our penultimate track, and it comes from an indie pop 5-piece out of Montclair, New Jersey. They're called Fourth Wanderers, and their song is called Caramel Emotion.
I think I'll be fine. Tell me where to look, 'cause I'm not looking behind. You think I'm so sweet, you make me sick, I can't eat. When you're around, don't leave me on. You know I'll take it to heart, and I'll speak up for once. Too much time in the backseat. You held my hand and it felt good to be seen. I'll sleep with my bedroom in. Why am I always afraid? Like how things stay the same around here. I kept all your secrets safe. Nothing in return, except your imprint on my brain. I kept all your secrets safe. I kept all your secrets safe. Nothing is by your side. Thank you for letting this get out of line. I think I'm fine. Seeing you cry, hearing you whine, and you think that I would know better by now, but I don't, and I don't know why. So I think you should stay. Love me until there's nothing more to say. And I feel great, and you feel better in time. You feel better in time. You feel better in time.
So once again, that was Fourth Wanderers with their song Caramel Emotion. So before we dive into our final song, you know I'm like a history nerd and I love history and all that stuff, and I have a few historical heroes, people whose biographies from history, you know, great men and women from history who just appeal to me for the things they've stood for or the things they've done, and one of them is Charles Darwin. I'm a big Charles Darwin fan for many different reasons. But I was messing around online, not entirely sure what I was doing, but I found a quote from Darwin. And I haven't done any digging in regards to how accurate this is. So it could be totally one of those made-up internet things, but the internet doesn't really lie, right? So it must be true. But apparently in Darwin's autobiography, he said, "If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music at least once every week. So I thought that was a nice little quote. And I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe if you know, the universe had gone differently and Darwin had been around now, he might have listened to the show. He might have subscribed on iTunes, because we come at you once a week. So there's his weekly dose.
What do you think that Darwin would have thought of your jokes?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to look for a survival of the fittest joke or something. I can't even make one up. So he probably would have thought they were terrible and that I should be taken out of the gene pool or something like that.
So you might have listened to our show, but perhaps it was for research purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You know, a modern ape. Anyway, let's get into our final song. It comes from Matt Jones and the Reconstruction, an indie folk rock act out of Michigan. And the song we're going to listen to was recorded in front of a live audience. And this is called Hand Out the Drugs.
About the years I have left, come on with something strangely proud and overdone. You asked for 10, but they gave you 1. And what's worse, their words are making sense now. You're here. Wear that lampshade around your neck. Keep playing cards with the wounded back. And what comes of this is sacred. The pain went flat along with your line. The one that reads words with the wine. And all you really want's been taken. So hand out the drugs. Turn your back and count to 10. And wave your arms, I'm drunk again. How far is the next stop sign? Without the courage to proceed, I'm shaking hands with what's killed me. So hand out the drugs. Turn your back and count to 10. And wave your arms out, I'm drunk again. How far is the next stop sign? Without the courage to proceed, I'm shaking hands with what's killed me.
So once again, that was Matt Jones and the Reconstruction, and the song was Hand Out the Drugs, which is a great one to end on for this week's show anyway. I've got a headache, you know.
I see.
A little bit of Advil.
Okay.
Oh, look at that product placement. Anyway, yeah, that's it for episode 11. Thanks so much to everyone out there for listening. Thanks to you guys for taking the time to join me here in the studio and listen to me ramble on. Do you guys want to say bye? Do you want to lead us? Anyone want to lead us out this week, or should I do it?
Laura?
Yeah, okay. I don't. No, you know what? I can't. It just feels weird.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right, Vince.
It feels
Doesn't
weird.
feel right?
You have like a catchphrase and everything.
What about
I do.
Oscar?
Oscar could do it. Yeah, we never mentioned Oscar. He's sitting here in the studio with us. He's the Music City studio mascot, Mike's puppy dog, and he's just sleeping on the couch.
Well, he's not saying much. So.
He's
You say
bored.
puppy dog, but I had to fight for my seat. Okay, so in the studio, Mike has like a green velvet, like love seat, settee type thing. And typically this is where I sit. I sit here every week and have done for months, over a year, I guess. But when I came in today, I had to tell Oscar to get out of my chair, and so now he's curled up beside me, and he looked kind of miserable about it earlier, but now he's okay.
He's come around to the idea. Well, I think that's as good a note as any to end on, so thanks again for listening, and we'll be back next week, so goodbye for now.
Alt Rock Radio Now is brought to you in part by Czek Creative. Czek Creative is a Kelowna-based digital agency that delivers results across Canada. Learn more at czechcreative.com. That's